The scream that came out of my daughter's mouth that afternoon still haunts me till this day. I was standing just a few feet away when my own father grabbed the red-hot barbecue tongs from the grill and pressed them hard against my 7-year-old daughter, Lily's hand. She screamed so loudly that even the neighbors heard it. My name is Kayla Wood, and this is the story of how my father burned my daughter's hand at a family barbecue and how I made sure he paid for it in the worst possible way. It was a normal Sunday afternoon. My parents had called the whole family over for a barbecue at their house. Almost 15 people were there. My parents, my brother and his wife, their kids, and a few other relatives. Lily was playing with her cousins near the garden when her 9-year-old cousin accidentally ran into her. She lost her balance and fell close to the barbecue grill. Before I could even reach her, my father, who was standing right next to the grill, reacted in the worst way possible. Without thinking twice, he picked up the burning hot barbecue tongs and pressed them against Lily's hand. Lily's cry of pain cut through the entire backyard. I ran to her and saw a deep, blistering burn already forming on the back of her small hand. She was crying hysterically, holding her hand and screaming for me. "Dad," I shouted, "what the hell did you just do?" My father didn't even look guilty. He casually dropped the tongs on the table and said in a cold voice, "She was being careless. These kids have no respect these days. A little burn will teach her a lesson." I was in complete shock. I looked at my mother, expecting her to say something, but she simply shook her head and said, "Kayla, calm down. Don't create a scene. It was an accident." My brother quickly stepped in and added, "She's fine. You're overreacting. Kids get hurt while playing all the time." I looked around at my family members. No one came to check on Lily. No one told my father that what he did was wrong. They were more concerned about ruining the family gathering than my daughter's pain. I picked Lily up in my arms. Her hand was already swelling. I could feel her small body trembling. "I'm taking her to the hospital," I said. My father's voice came from behind me, loud and threatening. "If you leave this house right now, don't expect any help from us in the future. Not for her and not for you." I didn't reply. I just kept walking toward my car with Lily in my arms. As I was putting her in the car seat, she looked at me with tears in her eyes and asked in a small voice, "Mommy, why did Grandpa hurt me?" I had no answer for her. While driving to the hospital, my mind was racing. I kept seeing the image of my father burning her hand without any hesitation. What hurt me even more was the fact that my entire family defended him instead of my daughter. Halfway to the hospital, my phone started ringing. It was my mother. I ignored it. A minute later, she called again. I still didn't pick up. Then a message popped up on my screen from her. "Don't do anything stupid. Just come back. We'll handle it quietly as a family." I stared at the message for a few seconds, then deleted it without replying. When I reached the hospital, the doctors immediately took Lily inside for treatment. While I was sitting outside the emergency room waiting, a police officer walked up to me. "Ma'am, are you Kayla Wood?" he asked. I nodded slowly. He said, "We received a call about a child being burned at a family gathering. We need to take your statement." I looked at him confused. Before I could ask anything else, my phone vibrated again. This time, it was a voice note from an unknown number. I played it with shaky hands. A low, calm, and cold voice came through the speaker. "I told you not to touch my daughter. Now, you'll pay for it." My heart stopped. That voice didn't belong to anyone in my family. It belonged to someone I hadn't spoken to in years, someone I thought was completely out of my life. I sat frozen in the hospital chair, staring at my phone. The voice note kept playing in my mind on repeat. "I told you not to touch my daughter. Now you'll pay for it." My hands were shaking. I knew that voice. I hadn't heard it in almost 6 years, but I could never forget it. It was Daniel, Lily's biological father. He had left us when Lily was only 8 months old. No calls, no messages, nothing. I raised Lily alone. I never told anyone where he went, not even my parents. As far as my family knew, Lily's father was some random guy who disappeared. But now, he was back. And from the sound of his voice, he wasn't the same man who left us years ago. I stepped outside the hospital to get some air. My mind was racing. Why would he suddenly appear now? And how did he know what happened at the barbecue so quickly? Before I could think any further, my phone rang again. It was the same unknown number. I hesitated for a few seconds, then answered. "Hello?" I said quietly. A calm but cold voice came from the other side. "Kayla." It was him. "Daniel," I whispered. There was a short pause before he spoke again. "I heard what your father did to Lily," he said. "I told you years ago that if anyone ever laid a hand on her, I would make them regret it. I wasn't bluffing." I felt a mix of anger and confusion. "Where the hell have you been for 6 years?" I asked. "And how do you even know what happened today?" "I've been keeping an eye on Lily," he replied. "I may not have been around, but I made sure no one would hurt her. Your father crossed a line today." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to scream at him for disappearing, but another part of me was too shocked. Daniel continued, "I already have my lawyer working on this. Your father won't get away with what he did, but I need you to do one thing." "What?" I asked. "Don't go back to that house, don't talk to your parents, and don't let them near Lily again. From now on, I'll handle everything." I felt a strange sense of relief, but also fear. "Daniel, what are you planning to do?" I asked. He stayed quiet for a moment, then said in a low voice, "Just stay out of it for now. I'll contact you soon." He ended the call. I stood there, outside the hospital, feeling completely lost. My father had burned my daughter's hand. My family defended him. And now, out of nowhere, Lily's father, who had been missing for years, had suddenly appeared and was talking about making my father pay. I didn't know whether to feel protected or scared. When I went back inside, the doctor told me Lily's burn was serious but treatable. She would need dressing for a few weeks and might have a scar. I sat beside her bed and held her other hand while she slept. That night, while I was sitting alone in the hospital corridor, I received another message from Daniel. It was just one line. "Don't be surprised if your father receives a visit tomorrow morning." I stared at the message for a long time. I had a feeling that whatever Daniel was planning, it wasn't going to be small. And for the first time in years, I wasn't sure if I was ready for what was about to happen. The next morning, I woke up to multiple missed calls from my mother and brother. I didn't answer any of them. I was still trying to process everything that had happened in the last 24 hours. My father burning Lily's hand, my family defending him, and Daniel suddenly reappearing after 6 years. Around 10 a.m., my phone rang again. This time it was Daniel. I picked up. "Daniel," I said quietly. "Kayla," he replied in his usual calm tone. "I need you to listen carefully. Don't go anywhere near your parents' house today, and don't answer their calls." I frowned. "What did you do?" There was a short pause before he answered. "I filed a police report last night for child abuse. I also sent all the evidence, photos of Lily's burn, hospital reports, and witness statements from 2 neighbors who saw everything to Child Protective Services. Your father is going to be investigated." I was shocked. "Daniel, you should have told me first," I said. "I didn't need your permission to protect my daughter," he replied coldly. "I stayed away for 6 years because you asked me to, but the moment he touched her, everything changed." Before I could say anything else, he continued. "There's something else. I also sent the same evidence to your father's business partners and a few clients. I figured they should know what kind of man they're dealing with. My heart skipped a beat. Daniel, that's too much. No, he cut me off. It's not enough. He burned a child's hand, and your family tried to cover it up. Now they'll all face the consequences. He ended the call before I could respond. By afternoon, everything started falling apart for my father. First, 2 police officers showed up at his house to question him about the incident. Then, one of his biggest clients called and canceled a major contract after seeing the evidence Daniel had sent. By evening, 2 more clients had pulled out. My mother started calling me non-stop. When I finally answered, she was crying. "Kayla, what have you done?" she sobbed. "The police came to the house. Your father's business is falling apart. Why are you doing this to us?" I stayed silent for a few seconds, then replied, "I didn't do anything, Mom. You and Dad did this to yourselves the moment he burned Lily's hand and you all defended him." She tried to guilt-trip me, saying that I was destroying the family, but I cut her off. You destroyed this family the day you chose to protect an abuser instead of your own granddaughter. I'm done. I ended the call. Over the next 2 weeks, things got worse for my parents. My father was formally charged with child endangerment. Because there were photos, hospital records, and 2 neighbors who were willing to testify, the case was strong against him. He was released on bail but was ordered to stay away from Lily and me. His business took a massive hit. Most of his clients stopped working with him after the news spread. My brother tried to save whatever was left, but he couldn't. One evening, my father showed up outside my house. He looked tired and angry. I didn't open the door, but I could hear him shouting from outside. "Kayla, open the door! You're destroying this family. Is this what you wanted?" I didn't respond. I just sat inside with Lily, holding her close. After a few minutes, he stopped shouting. Before leaving, he said one last thing in a low, bitter voice. "You'll regret this one day. Mark my words." I didn't reply, because for the first time in years, I didn't feel scared of him. 2 months later, my father accepted a plea deal. He was sentenced to 1 year in prison and was ordered to pay a heavy fine. He also lost most of his business and reputation. My mother had to sell their house to cover the legal fees. As for me, I continued living my life with Lily. Daniel stayed in contact, but he didn't try to force himself back into our lives. He simply made sure Lily was safe and that my father faced the consequences. Sometimes I think about that day at the barbecue. If my father hadn't burned Lily's hand, maybe things would have stayed the same. But his actions forced me to finally break free from my family's control. I didn't just protect my daughter that day. I also protected myself.